Who said Reef couldn't get it like this? Who said I couldn't hit the club like this? Ooh, she melanated. Ooh, she melanated. Yeah, she melanated. Ooh, she melanated. You better.
Hopefully I don't look orange because I always fear that I look orange. Y'all, I got a new ring light and let me just turn the exposure. Okay. I think this looks better. I don't look like a golden. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here or returning, my name is Julia. I also go by Julia Creations, Create Yourself Fitness, you name it. You name it, all of those. But guys, I have some juicy stuff I've been waiting to talk about today. You guys can tell by the title what we're talking about. And I redid this video because when I first did it, I don't know y'all, something was just missing. So your girl's back and ready today. So you guys know I had to have my candy. I cannot do anything without my candy, so I'm gonna be snacking in between. But if you've always been on my lives, you guys know I have to have a snack. I'm just like a snacker. I'm a snacker. But anyway guys, I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking about paying off credit cards and how credit cards work, credit card debt, tricks, and all that good stuff. Guys, I was so excited to do this video. I wanted to make sure I put everything in here, so when you guys ask me on my live, you guys ask me questions about credit cards, you know you have the answer. So y'all, we're gonna get straight into it. I wrote down all the questions you guys asked me, but we're gonna start all the way from the jump, literally all the way from the jump about credit cards. So we're gonna jump straight into it, you guys. I'm so excited because I want to get you out of debt, and then if you aren't in debt, I want to get you to avoid getting in debt. So we're gonna get you. And just a quick disclaimer, I have to put this out there, I am not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial coach. I'm just teaching you guys based off things that help my clients and my prior knowledge and research that I have done. So just that disclaimer out there. But guys, we're gonna get straight into it. So what are credit cards? Credit cards are basically a borrower from like a creditor. So you get a card that has a payment on there, and you know they give you a credit limit, and we're gonna get all into that. But basically a credit card is something that you're borrowing from a creditor. So it could be a bank union, it could be a regular bank, a commercial bank, but it's basically going to be funds that you get to borrow and pay back to the bank. So I know what you guys are thinking, why do we get credit cards? What's the point of credit cards? Rewards, interest rates, low interest rates on loans, y'all, mortgages. When you're looking for a house, it's good to have credit, guys. Credit opens so many doors for you, and I don't want you to be scared of credit cards. So we're gonna talk about it, but you want to make sure you're doing this right. When you get a credit card, it can go so wrong. So hopefully after this video, you know, things can go right when you do sign up for a credit card. And then we're also going to talk about some, if you're already struggling with credit card debt, the process, the procedures, and things we will move forward to. So I got you guys. So what are some good beginner friendly credit cards? I personally recommend, if you're going to be getting a credit card, you want to get a credit card with the bank that you want to build a relationship with. So when I first got my first credit card, I went with the bank that I was currently banking with. They should not be named because they are a terrible bank, but my parents had them, so I wind up going with them from the jump, and I put my first bank account with them, and that's the card I wind up going with, and I started building credit as soon as I turned 18. So the reason why it's so important when it comes to what card you pick and what bank you decide to go with is because this is the start of your credit history. The minute you get that card, you're starting your history. So I have a few recommendations of some really good beginner friendly credit cards. I think the Discover is really good. The Chase Freedom is really good. And I also think bank union cards are really good as well. So if you don't want to do a commercial bank or you can't get approved for a commercial bank, I would try a bank union and start there and see. That way, you know, it's a smaller bank. They're easier to work with, and they approve you more than a commercial bank. Commercial bank, not bank. I can't speak today, you guys, but they'll probably approve you 10 times easier than a commercial bank. So another thing, guys, when you're getting your first card, avoid store credit cards, guys. I can't just enough. Avoid store credit cards. I'm gonna put it over here. Avoid store credit cards, y'all. Don't get them. I don't care about the little 30% that they tell you you're gonna get when you sign up, y'all. The 30% isn't worth the debt that you could potentially get into. And the reason why I never say store credit cards are a good recommendation, because one, they're usually high interest rates, and we'll get into that too. But they're really high interest rates, y'all. And if you're getting a credit card at Sephora, you're going to be 10 times more likely to shop at Sephora for things you don't need. So guys, we want to get a card that gets us good points. It has no annual fees. You don't want to get any cards that have annual fees, because especially as a beginner, what do you need an annual fee where you're paying $600 to keep this card, especially when you're first starting? So guys, no annual fees, avoid store credit cards, and yeah. If I didn't say it before, the cards I recommend were Discover and Chase for first starting off, and then local bank unions. Why? Because they have a really good reward system. If you're going to be getting a credit card, guys, you want to get a credit card that's going to either be giving you cash back or rewards. A lot of time people get cards and they start building their credit history and they're not getting any points. So you don't want to be opening a whole bunch of lines of credit, and we'll get into that as well. So you want to get one good credit card, start there. One good credit card. One good credit card. So guys, we're gonna go back into what I said at the beginning, and we're gonna talk about credit limit. So once you get approved for your credit card, you're going to get a credit limit. So each bank has a different credit limit. Some banks are gonna give you more, some banks are gonna give you little, but I recommend starting with one card. And guys, you don't want to keep trying to apply for credit cards. So don't keep applying for credit cards. If you don't get approved from a commercial bank, maybe step back and try to find a bank union. And then I recommend applying for credit cards about every 6 to 12 months. You don't want to constantly be trying to apply for credit cards, because it shows up on your credit report that you were denied for those cards too. So, and then bankers are gonna kind of have a red flag, because they're like, why are you trying to apply for all these cards? So just keep that in mind, guys. When you're first building credit, don't try to rush and get all these cards. Start with one. If you're not approved for a commercial bank, then possibly start trying to build a relationship with a bank union and going there. But what I wanted to get into, what are credit limits? So credit limits are basically the amount that the bank gives to you, or the creditor gives to you. So let's say you have a credit limit of $2,500 when you first start off, just hypothetically speaking. That's your limit. Should we max out a credit card? No. And then guys, think about why you want a credit card as well. If you want to start building credit, I'm going to give you the tips and tricks on how to start building your credit as well. But you don't want to be maxing out a credit card. So if you're getting a credit card that has a $2,500 limit, and you're getting it because you want to pay something with it, but you don't have the cash for it, you don't want to get a credit card, y'all. Because if you're constantly having that mindset that I'm going to get this credit card and put big transactions on it, that's going to get you into debt way quicker. So we want to keep our credit limit. We only want to use 10% of our credit limit. So 10% of our credit limit, if it's $2,500, is going to be, I'm going to show a little image there. It's going to be $250. That's how much you want to put on this card per month. You want to keep it under 10%. The lower the better. 30% the most, but guys, 10%. Let's start with 10%. You don't need to go crazy with these credit cards, and we'll talk about what you should be putting on your credit cards and all that good. So let's get back into when should we be using our credit cards. So if you have a credit card limit of $2,500, me personally, when I first started building credit, I put my gas on there, and I put anytime I went out to eat, because I was getting cash back on those purchases. So guys, you want to put things that you're gonna do on your daily spending, but you want to make sure you have the money for it. So if you have a budget for groceries, and let's say your budget groceries $200 per month, I'm just hypothetically speaking, and our credit limit was $250. Our credit limit was $2,500, but we're going to use 10% of $250. Maybe each month put your groceries on there, and then you're going to pay it off. So don't get credit cards and start maxing them out, putting all these things on there. Start really slow. Put your essentials on there. Put gas on there. Get used to paying it off, putting it on there, paying it off. And then we'll talk about how to pay off a credit card as well. But when you're first beginning, guys, I recommend just doing small little things like that, because you're going to get cash back from things you're already going to do. You're already going to go grocery shopping. You already have the money to go grocery shopping, because that's in the budget. You're going to be filling up your tank. That's in the budget. So you want to get a card that has good cash back or a good reward system. So basically you're getting reimbursed for doing things you were already going to do. So that's the luxury of having a credit card if you do it right. So y'all, let's get back into it. So the second question, or I don't even know what question we're on, but when should we be paying our cards? The best question ever. When should we pay our card? So you get your credit limit, right, guys? Your credit limit is $2,500, right? We're just gonna hypothetically speak. I'm just gonna use that number for the whole example because it's the one I wrote down just to make things easy. I don't want to confuse you guys with all these numbers. So let's say your payments due on the 15th every single month. Your minimum payments due. When you're first building credit, guys, you don't want to max out that card. So we want to keep it under 10%, which is $250. So we want to run up every month $250 on that credit card. And you don't have to do this every month, but we want to run up $250 and we want to pay it off on our minimum day. We want to pay off the balance. You never want to pay the minimum only unless you are basically in debt and you're just paying your minimums each month because you can't finish your statement balance. But guys, at the end of each month, you should be paying off your statement balance on the due date. So if they say the bank says you only owe $25, but you have a balance of $90, pay the $90 off, guys. Don't get in the habit of relying on, oh, well, I'm just paid $25 because that's all the bank is asking me for. The bank, literally, y'all, credit cards have the worst interest. Like, I mean, the interest that credit cards can charge should be illegal. That's how bad it is. So get the habit of putting a balance on there and paying it off. And then another thing, so there's going to be 2 dates on your credit card. There's going to be a statement balance, a statement date, and there's going to be a minimum balance date, the balance due date. So a little trick for when you're building your credit, if you're running up a balance each month and you're paying it off, you want to make sure you pay everything by your statement date. Because, so for example, let's say your minimum balance is due on the 15th, but your statement date is on the 18th. You want to pay your statement balance off on the 15th, on the minimum payment date. And then you don't want to make any transactions until the statement date ends. Why is this so important? Because on the statement date, that's when the credit card gets reported, the credit union or the creditor reports it to the credit bureaus, and that's what shows up on your credit history. Why this is important, guys? Because if you're putting 10% on there each month, you're paying it off, the bank is betting on you to miss a payment, or not necessarily miss a payment, but they're betting on you to pay interest. So that's why I say, guys, you got to pay your minimum no matter what. Pay your minimum no matter what. I can't stress enough. Always pay your minimum every single month, but you want to be paying your statements off, guys. Don't get the habit of just paying minimums because that interest is going to bite you back. That interest is not fun. I feel like I'm yelling at the camera, y'all, but I just want you guys to understand because I have so many clients that are currently in debt and they're trying to catch up with the interest. So guys, keep that as a habit. If you don't have it in cash, don't buy it. Don't put it on the credit card. Don't get a whole bunch of credit cards, run them up. So that's what we're talking about, credit limits, when to pay off your credit card. So you want to pay your credit card off every single month on the balance date due. If you want to trick the system, you basically can make 2 payments. If you are the type to forget, just make sure you pay everything off before your statement date. If you put your minimum on there, let's say you only can pay your minimum on the 15th when it's due, but you get paid on the 17th. Then go ahead and pay it off before the statement date closes. That's going to boost your credit score tremendously because you're not making transactions after. I hope that makes sense, y'all. I be running on my words, but if you guys get what I'm saying, basically pay on the minimum, pay off in your full balance, not just the minimum, pay the full balance off, and then don't make any transactions after the statement date or before the statement date ends, because that's going to get reported to the credit bureaus. Okay, guys, we're going to start getting in another direction. So I'm just going to do a summary of what we just talked about. We talked about picking credit cards, credit limits, when should we pay our credit cards, and statement dates, all that good stuff, credit limits. So now we're going to go in a different direction for all my budget babes that are already in debt. So these are some of the questions that people have for me that are already currently in debt. So if you were just starting your budget or your credit card journey, if you're just starting your credit card journey, make sure you paid attention from there. But this is for my babes who are already in debt and they still need some help. So we're going to talk about one of the questions I get asked: should we close our credit cards? How I feel about this question. If you're in debt, I recommend no longer using your credit card, but you still want to keep it open. And here's why. Once your credit card or you pay off your debt, that's all your credit history. You started building your credit history all the way from the first time you opened your first card. Your credit history's already started building. You don't want to close those credit cards because it's going to show on your credit report that you closed a card. So my recommendation, the only time I feel like you should really close a card is if you're paying a high annual fee every single month on that card, or every year you're paying an annual fee. That's the only time I really would say closing a credit card is good, because you don't want to pay the annual fee. If you're paying an Amex $600 fee every month, I would close that as well, because if you can't afford that, or you're just not wanting to build with that credit card anymore, close it in that case. But I really don't recommend closing them, guys. It's of course your own preference, but me personally, I would basically, once I finish paying off the debt on the card, I wouldn't use it as much. I would lean away from it, but I would still make a transaction on it every now and then, so basically it can still show that it's active, and you know, it's just still moving. But that's how I feel about closing credit cards. The next question we're gonna get in is, you're already in debt, should you consolidate? So, consolidation, guys, I have really like a mixed feeling about it, because if you consolidate, it could go right. If you consolidate, it could go wrong. So in that case, how I feel about consolidation, I need you to ask yourself, is this going to be a better deal for me? Am I going to wind up paying more interest in the long run? Is it smarter to do it this way? Should I go through and do my budget and do like the snowball method, where I pay off my smallest cards first with the money I have left over? Should I do a budget and then plan? I think you should take those steps first. I want you to go through and see how much money you have left over after you take care of all of your expenses. Do a budget. With the money you have left over, use that to focus on paying off debt. And if you feel like consolidation is good for you, see what the banks are talking about, and or the consolidation companies that you want to consolidate with. Really do your research, guys. I'm not going to say yes or I'm not going to say no to that, because for some instance, consolidation is really good. For some instance, they're not really good. So you just have to do your own research. I'm not going to give a yes or no, because I know you guys trust my opinion a lot, but I'm not going to say yes to it because I'm on the edge. I'm like on a seesaw, and it's kind of like 50-50. I just feel like if you're consolidating, most of the time you're running from the initial problem. You think that you're getting a small payment. You think that you're getting one payment per month, but is that one payment really helping you? Is it really kind of fixing the issue? I don't want you to have this, I'm going to run to consolidation if I get in this position again. I want you to do the snowball method or do the avalanche and make a plan to pay off the debt. So that way, you go through the motions and you know how to avoid this for the next time. But I'll let you guys do your best judgment on that and do your research before you go. So that's how I feel about consolidation. So the question I get all the time, every single live, is about collections. What do we do when we get to collections? So I'm going to say what I recommend for collections. And once again, guys, do your own research. Just a disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor, but I am going to give you what steps I would take if I had credit cards in collections. We want to send out dispute letters. We want to dispute those collections, guys. So what collections is, basically, you know, the bank, you can no longer handle the debt that the bank, like you no longer can pay whatever the bank is telling you to pay, or the creditor, the lender, whoever it is. So they send it to collections. They sell your debt to someone else. They probably buy it for a really low price. Like, let's say you have $300 worth of debt. I'm just hypothetically speaking. Or let's say you have like $400 worth of debt. Your credit card or your creditor, your bank agency, whoever, they send it to the collections, and they give it to collections for, like, let's say, hey, I got this $400 worth of debt here. I'm gonna sell it to you for $300. So they give it to the collections agency. The collection agency is like, oh, that's a good deal, because now, you know, I get to have their debt, and I get to keep calling them 24/7, telling them that they're in debt. So you want to send out dispute letters, guys. Send out those dispute letters. The worst that can happen is they say no. And the dispute process it's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be an easy response. Sometimes the collections agencies are very stubborn and they want to keep pushing you over. So you want to keep trying. You want to at least probably send out, you know, a few letters for between 4 to 6 months. Send those letters out, y'all, and see what they say. Now, let's say they just don't want to budge. They're like, no, I'm not disputing this. Then you want to try to negotiate with them. Most collection agencies, they want something because they bought your debt. They want something. So either you can stick to doing a payment plan with the collections, or you can save up some money, like do your budget, save some money, and tell collections you want to put up this balance up front. So like you could be like, I want to pay this up front to get the debt taken care of. And sometimes they'll negotiate with you. And like, let's say you want to do, I'm looking at my notes here, y'all, because I wrote some good notes about this. So the system you want to do, you want to either dispute, do a settlement negotiation, and then send another dispute letter once they agree on the settlement. So most likely the collections agency will do a settlement with you. Every agency is different, but let's say they don't. Then you'll start making a process to pay on those collections, guys. But it's so worth it just trying to dispute. A lot of people don't even try it. So, you know, you never know till you try it. Don't knock it till you try it. Try to dispute it. See where it goes from there. And then do a settlement. Agree with them. If you have to do a settlement, try to do between 50% and 70% of the item or the debt that's due. So if you owe $300 a debt, I'm just hypothetically speaking, you possibly want to see if you can pay 50% of that. Because let's say they're like, oh, we bought your debt for $400, but you want to pay a good selection, at least 50% of it, they might budge because they're still making somewhat of a profit off of your debt. So yeah, it's worth a try. Once again, do your research for that and see what works best for you. But that's what I recommend. I have a whole bunch of clients that I've told to dispute and do this process, and it worked wonders for them and they got it off. So disputing is the way to go, y'all. Just try it. The worst that can happen is they say no. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. So you guys, we're gonna get into the last question. And I'm hoping that I went through everyone's questions that they had, and this is a really good video because I did a lot of research to make sure I'm giving you guys the right answers as well based off my prior knowledge. But we're going to talk about credit repair. So how do we move in the direction of start doing credit repair? One of my lovely budget babes say, do we take the risk and do it by ourselves? Do we go to a credit card company, or do we do credit repair companies? And here's what I'm going to say about that. The choice is yours. It's honestly whatever you think will be best for you. If you are going to start your own credit repair, you have to be consistent. You're going to have to be sending out dispute letters. You're going to be having to put in a lot of work, which is worth it. It's easy to get into debt. It's going to take a minute to get out, which is okay. That's the process. We're learning, we're building. If you do a credit repair, the credit repairers usually do everything for you. So they do your nitty gritty. They send the letters. They're consistent. They make it easier, and they kind of avoid any error happening. So do I recommend credit repair? Absolutely. I feel like if you find the right person, or you do your research and you're doing everything right, it's going to be worth it in the end. So guys, definitely I recommend getting your credit together, because credit just opens so many opportunities, and I can't stress enough. I know you guys are like, Jalea, y'all, I can't stress enough. Like, getting your credit together and just being debt free is a great feeling, and I want all my budget babes to experience that. So guys, definitely take the notes of what we just said today. Talk about it. If you guys have any questions, concerns, definitely feel free to put them in the comment box. I'm always here to talk and chat about it, my loves. But those are my tips for when you're first starting your credit card journey, if you're already in your credit card journey and you're currently dealing with debt. Those are the steps I would take. And of course, guys, regardless of all of this, you should be budgeting. You want to be budgeting. So regardless of whatever system you start to take, You want to be budgeting your income each month. You want to be budgeting whether you're doing a credit card, guys. A budget, I can't stress it enough. A budget is so important when it comes to financial stability, financial literacy, all of that good stuff. So if you are in debt and you're working on getting out of debt, you need to have a budget set so you can put a goal to get out of debt. You need to have a budget. If you are starting credit cards, you need to be having a budget so you avoid getting in debt. So y'all, it plays a part, but I recommend just giving your money a purpose. It can avoid a lot of things. But my budget babes, my lovely babes, I'm going to end this video here. If you guys have any questions or concerns, make sure you guys link them down below in the comment section. And thank you guys for 500 subscribers. I can't express it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I should have said that from the intro, but thank you guys so much for literally being here. It means a lot to me. I never thought I would be sitting at a camera talking. So guys, I love you guys so much. I love you, love you, love you. Make sure you guys hit that like button and you guys subscribe and turn those notifications on so you can be alerted every time I post. But have a great day.